The stories of Robert Charles and his fight to death. Written by Barnett. Narrated by drummer Simpson. A victim in the market. Soon after the murder of the man on the streetcar, many of the same mob marched down to the marketplace. There, they found a colored market man named Lewis Taylor, who had gone to begin his early morning's work. He was at once set upon by the mob and killed. The Picayune account says, between 1 and 2 o'clock this morning, a mob of several hundred men and boys, made up of participants in many of the earlier affairs, marched on the French market. Lewis Taylor, a Negro vegetable carrier, who was about 30 years of age, was sitting at the soda water stand. As soon as the mob saw him, fire was opened and the Negro took to his heels. He ran directly into another section of the mob and any number of shots were fired at him. He fell, face down, on the floor of the market. The police in the neighborhood rallied hurriedly and found the victim of mob violence seemingly lifeless. Before they arrived, the Negro had been beaten severely about the head and body. The ambulance was summoned and Taylor was carried to the charity hospital, where it was found that he had been shot through the abdomen and arm. The examination was a hurried one, but it sufficed to show that Taylor was mortally wounded. After shooting Taylor, the members of the mob were pluming themselves on their exploit. "The nigger was at the soda stand and we commenced to shooting him," said one of the rioters. "He put his hands up and ran, and we shot until he fell. I understand that he is still alive. If he is a wonder. He was certainly shot enough to be killed." The members of the mob readily admitted that they had taken part in the assaults which marked the earlier part of the evening. "We were up on Jackson Avenue and killed a nigger on Villiers Street. We came down here, saw a nigger, and killed him too." This was the way they told the story. "Boys, we are out of ammunition," said someone. "Well, we will keep on like we are, and if we can't get some before morning, we will take it. We have got to keep this thing up, now we have started." This declaration was greeted by a chorus of applauding yells, and the crowd started up the levee. Half of the men in the crowd, and they were all of them young, were drunk. Taylor, when seen at the charity hospital, was suffering greatly, and presented a pitiable spectacle. His clothing was covered with blood, and his face was beaten almost into a pulp. He said that he had gone to the market to work and was quietly sitting down when the mob came and began to fire on him. He was not aware at first that the crowd was after him. When he saw its purpose, he tried to run, but failed. He didn't know any of the men in the crowd. There was hardly a chance that Taylor would recover. The police told the crowd to move on, but no attempts was made to arrest anyone. A gray-haired victim. The bloodthirsty barbarians, having tasted blood, continued their hunt and soon ran across an old man of 75 years. His life had been spent in hard work about the French market, and he was well known as an unoffending, peaceable, and industrious old man. But that made no difference to the mob. He was a Negro, and with a fiendishness that was worse than that of cannibals, they beat his life out. The report says, "There was another gang of men parading the streets in the lower part of the city, looking for any stray Negro who might be on the streets. As they neared the corner of Dauphine and Kerelec, a square below Esplande Avenue, they came upon Baptiste Thilo, an aged Negro who works in the French market. Thilo for years has been employed by the butchers and fish merchants to carry baskets from the stalls to the wagons, and unload the wagons as they arrive in the morning. He was on his way to the market when the mob came upon him. One of the gang struck the old Negro, and as he fell, another in the crowd, supposed to be a young fellow, fired a shot. The bullet entered the body just below the right nipple. As the Negro fell, the crowd looked into his face, and they discovered then that the victim was very old. The young man who did the shooting said, 'Oh, he is an old Negro. I'm sorry that I shot him.'"
Sample complete. Ready to continue?